The reason you've been stuck in the same rank for hundreds of hours, even though you've quote-unquote been working on your mechanics and all of these things that you need to work on, is because you're playing the same exact way as you were 100, 200, 300 hours ago, and when you just got into that rank. When you play the same way, when you get into a rank, then you will stay the same rank. So fundamentally, you need to change how you play. When you're not immortal or radiant, even when you're immortal, the most important thing in Valorant is your mechanics. So how can you improve your mechanics while changing the way you play? It's incredibly simple. You just swing everything. What swinging everything does is it teaches you game sense, and it also teaches you utility usage, while it also teaches you just the general fundamentals of how to take a gunfight. As long as you like look at it like after the fact and see what you did wrong or what you did right. If you're not analyzing and trying to improve after you did something wrong, or analyzing why something worked, then you're just going to be stuck, and you're not really understanding why something worked or why something didn't work. And so you're just going to stay the same, and you're going to stay in the same rank forever. You're not going to improve. That's just how it is. It's how it's how improving at everything works. Swing everything. Please, just swing everything. The way it teaches you how to use util is, if you want to take a fight, what utility in this situation would be the best in this scenario, and then you just, throw some utility and then take the fight. Maybe I should have thrown it this way. Maybe I should have used this. Maybe I should have used my flash. Maybe I should have threw my satchel and then swung. Maybe I should have threw my boombot into the smoke and then shot the guy instead. All of these things, it teaches you how to use your utility properly. Now, it also improves your game sense. When you put yourself into a position to see what the enemy is doing, then it teaches you what the enemy and how the enemy is playing. If you're swinging A long a lot on Haven, then, like, say you swing A long, they put a jet smoke, and most of the time they're peeking from the left side. Now you'll start pre-aiming the left side of the smoke, and then you'll be more ready for the fight. And that is just a general little bit of game sense. Or like when you're rotating to B, through B in Haven, and then you take the fight. They're usually sitting in the cubby on the right side of the door on like a tight angle, and you can pretty much always pre-aim that. Or like if they're on an eco, they're sitting the bottom left of Haven B with like a sheriff or something, or waiting for your rotate, and then you can easily pre-aim that. All of this is game sense, right? When you're putting yourself into positions where you can consistently take fights, and you're consistently when you're consistently exposing yourself to weird positions and different situations, you improve knowledge-wise and just mechanically, as long as you're analyzing what you did wrong and right in the situation. And that's the reason you're hard stuck. You're not hard stuck because you're probably not mechanically there. You're not hard stuck because of your teammates. You're not hard stuck because you're going against smurfs. You're hard stuck because you haven't changed the way you've played, and you're not actually improving at the game. You're not learning more. You're not improving properly. You haven't properly improved at the game yet, in that rank especially, right? Because even when higher rated players go into lower ranks, they have to change the way they play so they can beat the enemy team. They can't play like a Radiant plays in a gold lobby. You'll usually hear it like, oh, these players are super weird. Then they just turn their brain off, and then they just start aim diffing everybody because they're mechanically just better. All they need to do is swing and then win the fight. And honestly, it's the same if you were a lower ranked player and you needed to improve to get to the point where you can turn your brain off and be able to just win your fights. The only way to be able to accomplish that is to work on your mechanics and to expose yourself to a lot of fights. So why should you play differently than a Radiant would play in your rank? It doesn't really make sense. You may not have the same mechanical skill, but how else are you going to improve that mechanical skill to get to the point of Radiance? It's not by just aim training, and it's not by just sitting in the back of sight waiting for them to fight you. It's you taking the fight to them, you trying to win the fight, and then analyzing which was wrong, and then improving upon that. The more gunfights you take, eventually after 10,000, 100,000 gunfights, you'll be immensely better than when you had 0 gunfights. And that's it. That's only the reason you're Hardstuck is because you're playing the same exact way and you haven't learned, right? You're probably scared. You're probably not confident. Just gain some confidence. And if you don't have the confidence, just fake it and swing. You hear some people, swing them. Don't care about what your teammates are saying. Ignore them. Literally just swing. And over time, you'll lose. Like over time, you'll be losing a lot because you're taking uncomfortable gunfights. But the only way to get comfortable with the uncomfortable gunfights is to learn from it and get comfortable with it. That's it. That's the only way to improve. It's the best way to improve, and it's what's going to get you the farthest. I promise. And it's the same thing with like IGLing. You make bad comms. Why was this a bad comm? And then you change it, and then over time, after 1,000 calls, you'll improve the call. And then eventually you'll just understand what the enemy's doing, and then you will make the correct call. That's it. That's it. That's the end of my TED Talk. That's how you improve at Valorant on a fundamental level.